Hello and happy World Book Day. This is a little recording that I've made in advance for you all, sharing a story. I love World Book Day. This is a great opportunity to hear about new books and try something different with our reading. Stories are just the most important thing, in my opinion. Whether we're telling them, watching them, or reading them, it just adds so much colour and excitement to our lives. So it's a brilliant, brilliant day and a great opportunity to celebrate storytelling in general. So I've got a book that I'm going to read for you a bit of anyway today, and it's this one. Some of you will know it. It is called Malamander by Thomas Taylor. I've been reading this with a group of year fives actually at the moment, and we've enjoyed it so much, I certainly have anyway, that I was compelled to share it with everybody in Key Stage 2. It's a kind of mystery seaside setting, so you know we're not too far from the sea here, so it's something you might be able to empathize with, but it's quite funny as well and quite sort of spooky at the same time. So I'm going to read you the opening, which I think is really, really well written, and hopefully that gets you excited. I'd probably say this is maybe year 4, 5, 6 kind of book. Year 3, maybe by the summer if you're a really strong, confident reader, but it definitely would be one that I'd recommend you could get an adult to read with you at home or something, or get an audio book of. It's super, or one in the future that you might look for. Very, very good book indeed, very enjoyable. So I hope you enjoy this little excerpt. I know we do have some copies at school. This is one of said copies. I've got some at the moment that I'm borrowing, but there's some in the library too. So if you like what you hear, pick it up and have a read. Those of you who've read it before, I know there's a few, hopefully you enjoy this little excerpt one more time. So, Malamander by Thomas Taylor. Chapter 1, Erie-on-Sea. You've probably been to Erie-on-Sea without ever knowing it. When you came, it would have been summer. There would have been ice cream and deck chairs and a seagull that pinched your chips. You probably poked about in the rock pools with your mum, while your dad found that funny shell. Remember? And I bet that when you got in the car to drive home, you looked up at the words "Cheery on Sea" written in light bulb letters over the pier, and got ready to forget all about your day at the seaside. It's that kind of place in the summer. But you should try being here when the first winter storms blow in, when the letters C and H blow off the pier as they always do in November, when the sea mists drift up the streets like vast ghostly tentacles, and sea water spray rattles the windows of the Grand Nautilus Hotel. Few people visit Erie-on-Sea then. Even the locals keep off the beach when the darkness falls and the wind howls around more rocks and the wreck of the battleship Leviathan, where even now some swear they have seen the unctuous Malamander creep. But you probably don't believe in the Malamander. You maybe think there's no way a fishman can be real. And that's fine. Stick to your ice cream and deck chairs. This story probably isn't for you anyway. In fact, do yourself a favour. Stop reading now. Close this book and lock it in an old tin box. Wrap the box in a heavy chain and throw it off the pier. Forget you ever heard of Erie-on-Sea. Go back to your normal life. Grow up, get married, start a family, and when your children can walk, take them for the day at the seaside too. In the summer, of course. Stroll on the beach and find a funny shell of your own, reach down and pick it up, only it's stuck to something. Stuck to an old tin box. The lock has been torn off, and the chain is gone. Could the sea do that? You open the box and find that it's empty. Nothing but barnacles and seaweed and something else. Something like slime. You hear a sound behind you. A sound like footsteps coming closer, like slimy, flippery footsteps coming closer. You turn around. What do you see? Really? Well, maybe this is a story for you, after all. The next chapter is called The Grand Nautilus Hotel. My name's Herbert Lemon, by the way, but most people call me Herbie. I'm the lost and founder at the Grand Nautilus Hotel, as you can see from my cap. Someone once told me that most hotels don't have a lost and founder, but that can't be right. What do they do with all the lost stuff then? And how do the people who've lost it get it back? I'm a bit young for such an important job, I suppose, but Lady Kraken herself, the owner of the hotel, gave it to me. Even Mr. Mollusk, the hotel manager, can't argue with that. He'd like to, of course. He hates anything in the hotel that doesn't make money. If he had his way, the Lost and Foundry would have been shut down as soon as he became manager, and my little cubbyhole in the reception lobby boarded up for good. And if that happened, I'd have never met the girl I found scrambling through my window. The girl who said, "Hide me." I look her up and down, well, mostly up, because she's got herself stuck up on the window latch, and the cellar windows are near the ceiling. If she's a burglar, she's not a very good one. "Please!" I get her unstuck, although that means nearly being squashed as she tumbles inside. It's snowing, so a whole lot of winter comes in through the window too. We get to our feet, and now I'm face to face with her, a girl in a ratty pullover with a woolly bobble hat and a mass of curly hair. She looks like she's about to speak, but stops at the sound of raised voices above, raised voices that are getting closer. The girl opens her eyes wide with panic. "In here," I whisper, and pull her over to a large travel trunk that's been in the Lost and Foundry, unclaimed, for decades. Before she can say anything, I shove her inside and close the lid. The voices are right up at my cubbyhole now, the whining, wheedling sound of Mr. Mollusk trying to deal with someone difficult. I grab a few lost bags, brollies and bits and dump them on top of the trunk and hope they look as if they've been there for years. Then the bell on my counter, the one people ring when they want my attention, starts ting, 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 tinging like crazy. I straighten my cap, run up the stairs to my cubbyhole, and turn on my "how can I help you" face, as if nothing strange has just happened at all. Mr. Mollusk is the first person I see, trying to smooth his hair over his bald patch. "I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding," he's spluttering to someone. "If you would just allow me to make inquiries." Someone he is talking to is unlike anyone I've ever seen before. It's a man in a long black sailor's coat that's sodden with water. He looms over the desk like a crooked monolith, his face a dismal crag, his eyes hidden beneath the peak of his ruined sailor's cap. With one stiff finger, he is jabbing the button of my bell like he's stabbing it with a knife. He stops when I call and arrive and leans in even further, covering me in shadow. "Wah!" he says, in a voice that sounds like two wet slabs of granite being scraped together. "Girl, where?" I say, clearing my throat, putting the posh voice on Mr. Mollusk expects me to use with the guests. "To whom may you be referring, sir?" The man's mouth, which is nothing more than a wide upside-down V in his dripping bone-yellow beard, opens with a hiss. I notice there is seaweed in the beard and more tangled around his tarnished brass buttons. He smells like something bad is about to happen. "Where?" I gulp. Well, I can't help it, can I? I'm just a lost property attendant. I'm not trained for this. "My dear sir," purrs the voice of Mr. Mollusk, "I'm sure we can sort this out. What exactly have you lost?" The man pulls himself back out of my cubbyhole and towers over Mr. Mollusk. He draws his right hand, which has been hidden until now, out of his coat. Mr. Mollusk shrinks back when he sees that where the man's hand should be is a large iron boat hook, ending in a long, gleaming spike. "Girl," the man says. Now, one thing I will say about old Mollusk is that he knows which battles to fight. In this case, since there is no way he can beat this giant, hulking intruder, he decides to join him instead. He turns on me. "Herbert Lemon, have you got a girl down there?" Now they're both looming at me. I shake my head. My "how can I help you" face dissolves, so I try an innocent grin instead. "No," I manage to say in a squeaky voice. I hate it when my voice does that. No girls are hiding down here. Not at all. And that's when there's a soft thud in the basement behind me. It sounds exactly like someone who is hiding in a travel trunk trying to make themselves more comfortable. Oops. The bearded sailor opens his mouth with a moan of triumph, his dark eyes flashing beneath his cap. He yanks open the door to my cubbyhole and shoves me against the wall as he pushes past. He squeezes down the steps to the cellar, filling the tunnel, his back crooked as he stoops beneath the low ceiling. I hurry after him. This isn't me being brave, by the way. This is just me not knowing what to do. The sailor is standing in the middle of the room, filling the space. I see him look at the patch of melted snow beneath the open cellar window. I see him turn his head to follow the wet footprints that lead straight to the travel trunk. The bags and the brollies I dumped off it have now gone. By now, there might as well be a big flashing sign that says, "Yoo-hoo, she's in here!" Mr. Mollusk, rushing down to join the party, sees all of this too and goes crimson with rage. "Herbert Lemon, why I ought to..." But what he ought to, I don't find out, because of what the sailor with the spike for hand does next. He raises his spike and brings it down with a sickening thud, driving it deep into the lid of the chest. He wrenches it out and swings again and again. The lid of the trunk splits and sunders with each blow, splinters of wood raining all around. The trunk itself begins to disintegrate. The man tears the rest of it open with one of his good hands to reveal nothing. Well, not quite nothing. There's a very surprised-looking spider sitting amongst the wreckage. Oh, and a woolly bobble hat. I watch the spider scurry away and wish I could join it. Now, all there is to look at is the hat. It is very definitely the brightly coloured hat the girl was wearing. But of the girl herself, there is no sign. With a slow, deliberate motion, Boat Hook Man skewers the hat on top of his spike. He turns, holds it out to me, his face like a thunder cloud. Somehow, I find the courage not to squeak as I reach out and gently take the hat off him. Just some lost property, I say. It was handed in this morning. I haven't had the chance to label it yet, that's all. There's a moment of silence. Then the Boat Hook Man roars, a great, wordless bellow of fury. He starts ransacking my cellar, sweeping his massive arms from side to side. I fall back on the stairs as bags, coats, hats, and lost thingamydoodahs of every kind, including some that must have laid undisturbed down here almost forever, fly about as the man goes berserk, trying to find the girl. But he finds no one. She's gone. So that is where we're going to leave it. There's loads more of this. It's a really interesting, quirky mystery. Funny, but spooky, scary, exciting, and written in that really unique style. Really worth it. Fantastic fun. Highly recommended in the school library. Malamander by Thomas Taylor. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you soon.